Don't mind me, Monkston. I'm just partying in America at the Super Bowl. Can't think of a cooler place to watch some cool sport. Imagine being able to watch an amazing sporting event from your own pirate ship. And that's what's going to happen this week at the Super Bowl. It's in Tampa. The team there are called the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they built their own pirate ship in the stadium. So what a cool place to watch a big sporting event. And I think we're using that for some inspiration for our work this week. There are two activities, of course. Some of you might have watched the other video first, which is to do with being creative. This is all about being active. So let's talk a little bit about our work for this week. We're getting active. I might keep that background on. I do like it a lot. So underneath this, you might find that there are two links to two different videos. I'd like you to try and watch those if you can, because they'll help give you inspiration. They are a lot of fun as well. The first one is to do with the activities that you can do. And in the NFL and American football, in order to be picked for a team, you can do something called the combine, which shows your skills, running, catching, strength, all sorts of things. And this describes it. We're going to do our own combine this week. So the NFL combine can involve lots of different things. This man here is showing off how fast he can run with the ball and can avoid different obstacles, demonstrating that he can avoid being tackled or captured by one of the other team. There are lots of different things that you can do at the combine that we can't necessarily do indoors, but you can try when you go for your exercise, or if you've got a reasonable sized garden, I suppose you could try some of these. There are, of course, catching skills. There are throwing skills. There's running. There is even kicking in American football. Those ones, as I said, you can try if you're doing them outside and if you're doing them in a big area. The ones I want to focus on are the ones that everyone can definitely do, and those are the ones that can be done safely inside, but with a little bit of careful consideration and checking. The ones you can do indoors. This one is called the broad jump. It's a bit like a long jump, and all you really need is a reasonable amount of space in your house. Now, if we were doing it outside at school, we would use things like cones to mark how far you've gone. Now, I've seen that year 3 have done activities before with a nice clean pair of socks. You can get 2 pairs of socks. You can have one by your feet when you start, hold the other one in your hand, make your jump, and then place your second pair of socks by your heel so you can show how far you've jumped. You can take a video of that, or you can get somebody to take a photograph. This one's probably my favorite one. I like this one. It's called the vertical jump. And it involves kind of staying still and then trying to leap as high as you can and reach as high as you can to show how springy you are, because this would help you catch the American football. Lovely activities, these two. You still need to make sure you've got space. You still need to check with an adult, but they are definitely things that even can be done on a really wet, rainy, windy day and with a limited amount of space. I know there are 2 people, for example, in my class, I think would be quite good at these ones. I think in my class, there's loads of people in my class who'd be good at this. I think, who would I say would have a good chance of doing these ones? Maybe Obafemi and Mariam, but actually there's loads of people in my class who would be good at these. So don't feel as though, oh, I'm not so good at one, I can't do that. You can try loads of them and pick out your best and send in that one. Here's an example, by the way, of me doing it. Now, what I've shown is I put my hand near a door frame when I've been doing mine, because it shows how far I've jumped. So as you can see, I can almost reach the top of the door frame. Then I've crouched down, I've leapt up, and I've reached this distance and more. So you can actually see how high I've jumped. That's quite a nice thing. If you can't get a video, if you can just get a photograph, something like that would be really cool to send in as your entry. You can send in multiple activities, but try and make sure that if you do lots of them, you send a couple of photographs in the same email, so it's not trying to piece together all the different things that you've done. You can even adapt the ones from the example video, the combine video. There's something called the 3 cone, which involves, normally, it's quite a distance, it's almost like half the length of your classroom. You go forward, you go back, you go forward again, and then across this time, I have to loop around the cone and then back. Now, you could just do the same thing, but with your socks, for example, instead of cones, and make it much smaller and closer. You could even tweak it so that, for example, you make it closer, but you also decide that you're going to go back and forth, and then maybe go diagonally and back and forth. I don't mind that. having to adapt things to make it so that it suits the way you want to do it and to show off your skills and to make it safe is really important. There's another one that's on there on the explanation video I mentioned, that's the shuttle. The distance between the cones is really, really far normally. It's much wider than our classroom, so it's likely to be much wider than your living room or your bedroom where you might be practicing. So yeah, again, you could use the socks for cones. You can make it so that they're quite wide apart, just so that you can't touch both at the same time on the floor. But then you can practice crouching, touching either side, back and forth, perhaps within a minute, to show how fast and how agile you are. You can even be creative. Now, this one probably suits better if you've got space outside, but there are activities that are specific to different positions. This guy's called a running back, means he's super fast and he has to take the ball as far as he can without getting tackled or touched. And to show his agility, he's got one here where he has to step over these big markers and then go round the cones and then try and avoid someone. So there are lots of different things you could combine to show off your agility. You don't have to have an American football to do some of these activities. You could use a small ball if you want to do throwing and catching. You could use a big ball if you want to do throwing and catching. If you were going to do one of these activities where you're running with something to show how agile you could be, you could even use something important to you. But you need to make sure you don't drop it. For example, I could even use my little girl's dolly and just tuck it under my arm and show how fast I can run with that. Bit silly, but it can be done. Being creative is all about thinking about what you can do to show off your skills and show off your creativity up here as well. Now, if you're thinking, I can do everything, Mr. Craggs, there's one thing on the combine example video that's underneath here that no one's allowed to do, and that's the weightlifting one. It's just potentially going to be too dangerous. I'm sure when you're teenagers and when you're older, you'll be allowed to do this, and I'm sure some of you have mums and dads who've got that equipment in your house. No one's to do that, okay? I'm sure you're all really strong. You're showing how agile, how fast, how good at catching you are, how good at throwing you are. We don't need the strength one, okay? What if you don't enjoy sports? Well, actually, there's still another way you can enter this competition and enjoy it. Much like a lot of other sports, if people win or if people score, people often celebrate. And one way this team is celebrating is by doing a hilarious dance where they all lift their legs together. Now, you can't necessarily do it with a team at the moment, but you could do your own dance or celebration. You could also do something that's a proper dance routine, like these cheerleaders and mascot have done. Yet again, the link to that video is beneath this one. So click on that in the description section. You can watch that and enjoy it. It's great fun. Even if you don't plan on doing this bit of it, then you can watch it and still enjoy it, because I think it's a lot of fun. I know, for example, in my class, I had one of my PE dance lessons, where basically 3 of my girls almost taught the lesson. They were that good. So, for example, I think Ayla, Evelyn, and Serena did a lot of work in one lesson where they showed a different dance. They might be particularly good at this, but actually some of those are good at running and jumping as well. So you can do more than one activity. You can even go back and do your combine, and you can do your celebration dance or your cheerleading as well. Because, of course, American football was actually where cheerleading started off in the United States. And it's become popular in the UK, and some people do it as an activity. It started there. So that's another thing that can be incorporated into what you send in. And my recommendation to you is, everybody, make sure you've practiced first. Don't just think, I'm going to try this, I'm going to film it, because it won't be as good as it would be if you've practiced over and over again. If you just try it once, probably not going to be the best you can do. But then you can consider sending in a photograph or video to your year group address. As I said, if you want to do more than one, maybe put them together on the email and send them all at once, because then there's no chance that they'll get missed. I don't know how popular this is going to be. It could be that we only get 1 or 2 entries across the whole school. But I suspect once certain people start, it might get a bit more popular. We might get lots in. Because of that, teachers may not be able to respond to all entries. So don't take that in the wrong way, but they will. And they'll send the selection of the best to myself and Miss Haller, and we're going to judge the winners. Now, try to make sure you get them in by the end of the day on Wednesday, because we're going to try and make our decision on Thursday, because we'd like to offer prizes to people. We need time to get those ordered. But the prizes, there'll be one prize for either the best combine or the best dance, and that's for each year group. So reception, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. Every year group, one person in that will have a chance to win one of these, which is a natural American football. Mrs. Winship's ordered us these. They're box fresh. They've still got the tag on there. And those have already arrived. So we know they're here. That's one of the prizes. But we've also got a grand prize for each key stage. So either reception combined with year 1 and year 2. So that's key stage 1, or key stage 2, which is year 3, year 4, year 5, or year 6. The best over all of those year groups, or all of those year groups, will get a grand prize, which we'll speak about a little bit more once it happens and once we announce the winners. So lots to look forward to, lots to try out. It will require a little bit of practice from you. I can't show you too much on here, of course, but I think it's going to be something that lots of people should enjoy. If you've got any questions, try to watch this again and try to watch either the combine video or the cheerleading video to give yourself some inspiration and get some ideas first, because the teachers in the year groups might not necessarily be able to answer your questions, but it should be explained again if you watch this video. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. The only thing I would also say about the Super Bowl is, unfortunately, because it's in America, I would recommend you watch the highlights on Monday, either before or after school, rather than trying to stay up, because it's on very late, because they've got a different time difference. I think it starts at 10 o'clock or 10:30, and it doesn't finish till about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's very late because it's on in a different country. So if you do like the look of the stadium in the background and think, oh, that could be quite fun, I might watch a bit of it, I'd suggest watching the highlights on either BBC or Channel 5 or Sky, or on the internet the following day. Great sport. The other thing, of course, about that sport that's different from what we will do in school when we're finally allowed to do this again is there's actual tackling, and that's why they have to wear equipment. Those of you who've already watched the video for art will know that you were able to design your own helmet. We don't need to wear helmets when we start doing this, hopefully, next year. Good luck. Look forward to seeing your entries, and be safe, be sensible, and don't be afraid to ask for help.